Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the Jeffries Network here on OpenTTD. Now, this episode is not quite going to be the episode that I promised in the last episode. Last episode I said that today would be creating service patterns for trains. But actually I want to talk about something a little bit different. We could get onto that towards the end of this episode, but right now I want to talk about the system that I'm going to be using to make this new service pattern and also to make it work. So last episode we looked at all the main stations in and around Guard City. Although I say that, we kind of did and we kind of didn't. We did it in that we looked at the main termini of Guard City, and then we looked at the sort of big stations as you go out on each separate main line. However, there are loads of stations in Guard City that have lots of people waiting. For example, Halliday Circus has 1,000 people waiting. All of them want to go to Guard City St Michael, which is interesting because actually when the Circle Line train came in, no one got on it. To prove that, if I select this train here, see, quite empty considering, less than half full I would say. But it created an interesting point for me doing this, in that we've got all these big stations and we've got all these main lines, and as of now hardly any of them have names. In fact, none of them really have names, apart from some that I have suggested. So if you go onto the suggestions list now, you will see under rail routes there are suggestions that other people have put on there. For example, BNSF and David Pasquale, they've put suggestions. And then you'll see a series of suggestions that I've put on there. Now the ones that have my name in, M4J Gaming, they're pretty much set in stone. So for example, Guard City St Michael to Sanley Central, that's the Western Reaches line. Except I've missed out the E in Sanley. I thought that looked a bit odd. That's the Western Reaches line, and I've put in the notes next to it that it excludes the section between Morningpool Falls and Peddingbury, because that's technically part of the coastal line. Another example being... now the ones that have Guard City are quite interesting. So I've taken the East Coast Main Line method of naming the line out of Guard City to the northeast. The northwest one remains unnamed. Where is it? This one here. Remains unnamed. I'll come to that one again in just a second. But for Guard City St George going northeast, I decided to split the line into currently two, maybe three technically separate parts. So the first line between GSG and Honingville, which is right the way up here, where the majority of services from GSG, the suburban services, currently terminate. This is called the Guard City Northern line. And it's literally ripped straight out of Great Northern, which is the franchise between King's Cross and Peterborough in the real world. So Honingville is our Peterborough, essentially. And that is the main line only. I know Great Northern also includes the Hertford Loop. This does not include the loop that goes between Donborough and Honingville. That comes under the Bartholomew Square to Narthingburg Springs line, which is called the Capital Line. Now the Capital Line could technically be a metro line within Guard City. It's not. It's a separate line. It's basically like First Capital Connect. That's where I got the name from. Guard City is the capital of this world, so it made sense to actually have a designated line, a dedicated line that goes into the capital. So between Narthingburg Springs, which is now a through station as well as a terminus. See, I've rebuilt the platforms here. The electrified platform is in the middle, the non-electrified are either side, two tunnels, and then we have a very similar layout over here at Launceston. So the line between Bartholomew Square to Plintbridge Parkway, and then from Donborough through Honingville up to Narthingburg Springs, that is the Capital Line. And then from Honingville to Gronwell Superior, so using these terminus platforms here, plus the fast trains that go through the centre and off up to the north, well it's technically to the east at this point, via Warnbridge, Beffing Way, Ludhead Cross I think was one of the stations, Chadborough, those stations. That line is the Great Northern Line because it runs right the way across the northern part of the map. And then also the other suggestion of mine, Sunnington to Beffing Way, which is the non-electrified line. that goes across the north of the map, including this section here, this section that runs all the way down here. They do technically join up at Warnbridge and then they separate again. That's the North Valleys line. I think I discussed that in the last episode anyway. And then we've got the ones that have already been named. So Guard City St Peter to Munfingford Paragon, that's the Great Western line. It's Guard City St Michael to Sandy Central, I've already said that one, that's the Western Reaches line. Guard City St John to Denston, Carnegie and Nut Hill City Centre, so it's split. That is the Guard City Great Eastern main line. But then you'll notice under those, there are loads of lines that have no name suggestions next to them and no YouTube username. That's where I want you guys to come in, because I realise that me just saying, hey, you want to name a route, go name it. It's difficult because there are, in some cases, people have attempted. So, for example, David Pasquale has put Gronwell to Guard City, Capital Rose. He's put not high speed next to it. I might need to have a discussion with you about that, because that actually sounds like a really cool name for a high speed line. And he's also put Denston to Moningpool Falls as the Western Clocker or Western Sentry. I kind of like that name as well. That, to me, at the moment that franchise is Grand Central, the one that runs between, it's not Denston it runs from, it is the station that we named in the last episode that I've already forgotten the name of. I know it's got Retire at the end of it. That line is the Grand Central franchise. I'm very tempted to have a open access operator between Denston and Moningpool Falls, just so I can call it the Western Clocker or the Western Sentry. Clocker is referencing trains departing on the hour, he's put. Both names work. Might have one called the Western Clocker, we might also have one running concurrently alongside it called the Western Sentry. I like those names. I like both those names. And then of course we've got BNSF's Heritage Railways, the Blue Lagoon and the Atlantic Pacific and Mogul. I'm going to struggle to crowbar the second one in because this is a British map using an American name, but I will work on it. I will try and find a way of fitting that name in. Because as I say, if you leave a suggestion, there's almost a 100% guarantee it will be used. But I've decided to give you guys some help, which is why I've elected to put in these lines. Or not the lines, but the routes. So, I mean, Guard City St Mark has 4 separate main lines coming out of it. They might all start off together, but then eventually they diverge. So, for example, this is where it gets complicated. Bear with me here. There is a line from Guard City St Mark to Cadingbury Junction. And I'll show you that one. I'll show you all of them, actually. But if I come over here, so GSMA is here. You'll come through here, past Funingley, which does have a stop, although some trains might just go straight through. Through Shoreham. And this is the direct route to Cadingbury. So once you get to Sibbertsham, you'll go straight along here via Dimpole East, and then you'll take this route, the eastern of the two routes, which essentially cuts through all of here, through the tunnel to Cadingbury. And that's where it terminates. That's one line. The second line is Guard City St Mark to Buntbourne Parkway. And that follows pretty much the same route until we get to Dinpool, where it diverges and it will take this route and it will go all the way through here, down here, round here, underneath this tunnel, big tunnel, and there, Buntbourne. That's route 2. Route 3 is Guard City St Mark to Charwood via Fort Flonwood Parkway. This one is a bit of a stretch. I can't see that many trains using the entire route. But essentially, again, it's the same all the way through Shoreham, except when we get to... actually, no, we don't go through Shoreham, sorry. When we get to GSMA, this is mainly for trains such as this one here, which is from Sunnington. It comes out of GSMA, comes down this way. This will also include the airport line from Sibbertsham down through here. They'll meet up with the main line again here at Rinston Airport, and then it'll split into the 2 separate branches. They'll run down to Fort Flonwood, which is over here. The 2 branches join up again, and then yes, this is where it gets interesting. So Charwood is this way. So the train will go down this way, or the line, sorry, goes down this way. Again, there's no guarantee that there'll be a train that runs the full route. It technically joins up here with the Western Reaches line for a period, and then it splits off again, and then we follow the 3rd rail line all the way down to Charwood, which is here. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky, because essentially I've said these two branch lines, but really what's going to happen is one branch line is going to be one route and one branch line is going to be the other route. And what I mean by that is, and I'm actually going to have to change this perhaps, maybe not, no, I don't think I should. So at Rinston, this line, which goes via Tadham, which is there, comes down through here, all the way around here, heads west again here, through Fort Flonwood, and then comes down this way, follows this line all the way along here, underneath the tunnel here, to Buntbourne. And then at Buntbourne, comes this way to the west, again, all the way down through here to Munfingford. And that's going to be another totally separate main line. So there's 4 main lines that come out of GSMA. We've then got Buntbourne Parkway to Denston Carnegie via Cadingbury Junction. So again, it's a little bit complicated. Buntbourne, we've got this line that comes here and terminates here. This line is a continuation, excuse me, of the one from Fort Flonwood, but we then got this line that comes through Buntbourne town, along this way, and off this way. And these two lines are connected. You can bypass Buntbourne Parkway if you want to. Through here to Cadingbury Junction, where this other line from GSMA terminates. Although the GSMA line might continue, I'm actually tempted to continue it over to Bathurst Street. So do you know what? I'm going to change that now. So the one GSMA to Buntbourne Parkway, I'm going to change you to Bathurst Street via Buntbourne Parkway. So again, the two lines temporarily merge and then they'll separate again. And south of here, the line continues via these sidings and everything, and then eventually it joins up with the Great Eastern Line here and heads down towards Denston. We've then got lines such as, where is it? Over here. We've then got Denston heading towards Munfingford via all of this, although I'm trying to remember. I suppose we can include it to Munfingford. So we've got Denston to Munfingford. I'm sort of planning these ones as I go along, which is why I'm talking about it out loud. So it'll join up there, and then that will include the little section there, and then down. Alright, so Denston Carnegie. To Munfingford Paragon. That's one line. We've then also got the line, where are we? This is the Western, this is the Great Western Line. I am looking for here. Alright, so this is technically Seward, although I think I might build a new station here, which would be Gronville West. So Gronville, is it 1N? No, 2. Gronville West to, although this one is going to be named actually. This one already has a name. So underneath that one, Gronville West to, technically it's to Mewood, I think. Mewood South, via there. Where are we? Up here. Although it doesn't join up at Mewood actually, it bypasses Mewood. So I suppose Sunnington is the terminus there. Gronville West to Sunnington. That's the cross-country west line. There will be an east one as well, which is why you have to specify. Okay, so that's another one off the list. We then have the line to the southeast of Denston. So that is Remind me where Denston is. I always lose it. There it is. Under here, across here, through here, around here, and down here to Drentborn. Now perhaps I should be doing, instead of Denston, Carnegie to Munfingford, this should be Drentborn via Denston. So Drentborn, retire. I can't pronounce that word. I'll keep it. It's a nice name. I just can't pronounce it. Via Denston, Carnegie. Wrap the text. Okay, and then we also have, I mean, there's going to be loads more lines coming out of Drentborn in the future. There are other lines. Oh yeah, there's one I forgot. Follow this up here, follow this up here. Where is it? Nut Hill I'm looking for. There it is. Nut Hill City Centre. To, I believe it's Playhatton Springs, but I do want to check. Yes, Playhatton Springs. Okay, have I missed any more out? I don't think I have. There's the high-speed lines, which I suppose we should put in, because people might want to be allowed to suggest names for those as well. So, God City, St. George to Gronwell Superior, high speed. And then God City, St. George to, and I always forget the name of the far south one. Plenborough, Torina, high speed. Okay, they will be named. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different main lines to be named. Have I missed any out? I don't think I have. I suppose the West Coast line as well is quite a good one to do. So Sunnington. So I keep calling it the West Coast line, but that already exists. We don't want a West Coast main line. That's so done already. So Sunnington, all the way down. There's Monningpool Falls. Technically it's Sunnington to Plindon. To Plindon Junction. Okay. Now the reason I want these to be named is because of the other thing I'm going to talk about in today's episode. So last episode we set up the not that one, the cargo flow diagram. Now I had this really good idea, which is still a good idea, don't get me wrong. The idea was to use this list that I've compiled, which you can still see, it's down in the description if you go on it. It's been renamed, and the reason it's been renamed I'll tell you now. So it's now called the Jeffries Network Information Sheets, and the reason is because one of the sheets, the first sheet that you load up, is the cargo flow for passengers, and then you'll see the station name and destinations where the majority of people want to go. All of these will be color coded. They're still not at the time of me recording this. They might be by the time Monday rolls around and this video actually goes live. But at this moment in time they're not color coded. But if you go onto the second sheet on that list, the Jeffries Network rail route names, you will see that I've come up with a little thing here with each individual main line route. So we have route name, primary terminus, secondary terminus, tertiary termini, so if there's any other points along the way that it terminates. So this, for an example, the Guard City Northern line, primary terminus is Guard City St. George, because that is the main terminus. It's where the majority of services will start from. Secondary terminus is Honningville, because that's the northern extreme. Tertiary termini, Guard City Pumpkinford Airport, because we will have some services terminate there. Then I've got a section called Stations Along Route, and this one is incredibly long. I've gone along every single route that's on this list so far, and I've put every single station that appears along that route. Except for a couple of exceptions, because if you look on the next field down, interchange stations. Now these are stations where originally this line didn't exist, but I realised that for some, for example the Guard City Northern Line, Plintbridge Parkway, Dontborough and Keybourne Cross all appear on other lists. So Plintbridge Parkway appears on the Capital Line, Dontborough also appears on the Capital Line, and Keybourne Cross appears on the North Valleys Line. So I realised that actually that wouldn't work to have them all colour coded if they're then all going to be showing up on different lists, because whatever algorithm I decide to use won't know what colour to make the field. So I've put a little one here for interchange stations, and these will be coloured separately, probably black with white text, something like that, so you can tell that it's an interchange and you can tell that there's more than one way of getting there. And then underneath that is route colour. Now the route colour bit is important. I've no idea if this is possible, I haven't actually tried it yet, but I'm planning on doing some kind of scripting so that on the cargo flow sheet, every time I type in a name, so for example, Renston Interchange. Actually, that's a really bad example. Let me choose another good example. Let's choose one that's just on a single line that we know exists. Henning Hall Junction. Okay, that's a good one. Because at the moment, Henning Hall Junction only exists on the Great Eastern Main Line. The Guard City Great Eastern Main Line, sorry. Don't get confused. There might be a Great Eastern one in the future. We don't know yet. So Henning Hall Junction. Every time I type Henning Hall Junction into this cargo flow list, I want a script that can search the second list. I've forgotten what this one's called now. The rail route names list. And it will search for Henning Hall Junction. It will find Henning Hall Junction. And then whatever list it appears in, it will colour coordinate automatically the name in the first spreadsheet, and I'm realizing that I'm using a lot of others and firsts and things like that. Basically what I mean is every time I type Henning Hall into the cargo flow list, it will search the route name list, and if it finds Henning Hall on there, it will then see which colour to make Henning Hall, judging by which list it appears on, and then it will go back to the cargo flow list and it will automatically colour code Henning Hall Junction in whichever colour I decide to make the Great Eastern Main Line. Guard City Great Eastern Main Line. I'm getting confused. I'm sure you guys aren't. I'm getting confused. That will make my life a lot easier. It means that I don't have to go through and manually colour code every single one of these. It might mean that I have to reinsert some of these names so that it will start searching, but I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. I know on Excel it's possible to reference other spreadsheets and you know, put parameters in and things like that. I've no idea if it's possible in Google Docs or Google Sheets. I've never actually tried. We'll find out. It's a nice little fun game. Always learning, always adapting. It's a nice little skill for me to learn as well. What that means is, though, at the moment it's a absolute convoluted mess. All of these names. They're all on a white background. You've no idea which lines they will appear on unless you happen to know the station. Ones like GSG are fairly obvious. They fall within Guard City anyway, so you know where they appear. There will be a colour for Guard City, Greater Guard City. So all the terminus stations and stations like Plintbridge Parkway, they'll all be one colour. Although Plintbridge Parkway is technically... okay, hang on. All termini in Greater Guard City will be one colour. All interchange stations will be a second colour. Maybe to do with what lines they appear on. So for example, if there's an interchange station that appears on a blue line and a red line, then it will be coloured a purple. Something like that. I've no idea. I don't even know if it's possible to make that automated or not. If anyone has any experience with Google Sheets, who's watching this, get in touch. That'd be really, really helpful actually. It'll make my life a lot easier being able to do that. But yeah, this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be unique. I haven't seen anyone make an OpenTTD network quite like this. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while actually, this really complex looking at the network and improving and fixing and making it all work really well. So this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun to do. But it relies on the input of you guys. So as I say, on the rail routes list, if you go on the network ideas list under railway routes, there is a series of rail routes that need names. If you go on there and someone has already left a suggestion for the route that you want to leave a suggestion for, my suggestion is you go to the bottom of the list, you type in the name of the stations at either end again, and you put your suggestion in. I've only put one for each one at the moment. You guys feel free to put as many as you like. All I ask is that if you're going to mess around with inserting new rows and things like that, you make sure the formatting stays the same, because it's all set up to work in a particular way. I might also have a way where people can vote for their favourite names, but that might not be for a long time yet. As I say, I'm playing around with different things that I've never sort of tried using before, so you'll have to bear with me as I get my bearings and get used to how all this stuff works. But yeah, essentially that was what I wanted to talk about in today's episode. Some people might feel like it's a bit of a wasted episode because nothing really has happened, but we're sort of at a transitional stage in the series now where we're moving from the old ways of building and working and, you know, the whole way that it used to work. We're now moving into something brand new and different, and I'd like to think revolutionary, unless someone else has already done it before, in which case I would very much like to watch their videos as well, because this is the kind of stuff that I love watching on YouTube. So if anyone out there has already done it, I would quite happily watch that, believe me. So other things really I wanted to talk about, that's about it, to be honest. I need your name suggestions. Like I say, if you want to put your name suggestions under these new route names, feel free to do so. And again, I'll repeat it, if you go on there and you want to rename the Guard City St. Mark to Cadenbury Junction route, and you find someone has already left a name suggestion, copy and paste the Guard City St. Mark to Cadenbury Junction section underneath at the bottom of the list, and then put your suggestion next to it. And we're going to see how many suggestions we can get by the end of next week, I'm going to say, because I'm still recording these a couple of episodes in advance. So every now and then I'll interject with one like this, but besides that, it's pretty much going to be a case of planning ahead. So that is about it for what I wanted to talk about. I'd like some feedback from you guys as well. Do you think this is a good idea? Is there anything else you'd like me to do along the lines of cargo flow and service patterns? Leave suggestions down below in the comment section. It's what it's for. I'm really liking the suggestions that people have left recently. I'm also liking the fact that you guys seem to be getting more engaged in the videos again. That's always an encouraging sign. We got some new people commenting as well, which is awesome. I like to see new faces. And besides that, that's pretty much it actually. That is pretty much it for this episode. So, thank you very much for watching. My apologies to anyone who didn't particularly like this episode. It was a necessary evil, I would say. I would like to be building and adding trains and stuff like that, but also sometimes you do have to sit back and take stock and look at what needs to be done. I know this is going to be a long and tedious process, but I'm happy to do it because I know that the results are going to be worth it. But thank you to everyone who has watched. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below. As I said, also go check out the name suggestions and add all your lovely suggestions there too. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.